So good evening all. A very warm welcome to the panel discussion hosted by Sacred Heart University, Luxembourg, SHU, in collaboration with Indian Business Chambers Luxembourg, IBCL. IBCL, created in December 2008, is one of the leading international bilateral chambers of Luxembourg. It is a non-profit, non-political, and neutral organization with a mission of creating, developing, fostering, and facilitating business relationship in trade, finance, technology, education, and culture between India and the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. As a platform, IBCL facilitates networking with future business partners to learn from experts, to share your knowledge and expand your business. SHU has been in Luxembourg at the Chambre of Commerce since 1991, offering AACSB accredited graduate level programs tailored to the needs of working professionals. SHU Luxembourg offers several academic options recognized by Luxembourg Ministry of Higher Education and Research, including a full-time MBA with internship, a part-time MBA, business certificates in management, leadership, private equity, and many others, as well as education, executive education for companies. My name is Cristina von Meyer, and I will be your moderator for the panel discussion today. So before introducing the panel, I just wanted to thank you very much that you are here today with us. We hope to make an interactive session, but because we expect some a significant number of people, we will start by a short introduction of the topic, and then we have 3 questions that will be answered by our panelists around half an hour. You may introduce your questions during this session, because afterwards we will open our session to answer your questions, and then we will conclude. So as a quick self-introduction, I'm a client executive director at Gartner Luxembourg. I'm a trusted advisor to business and technology decision makers in strategy, organization, sales, and marketing. Prior to Gartner, I had over 17 years of operational, finance, sales, and marketing achievement in global companies such as Vodafone, Huawei, Xerox Global Services, Deloitte, and the cloud startup Software as a Service. I have graduated in 2019 from SHU MBA in Luxembourg. So we start now to talk about our topic. Why education is such an important topic to debate today? So please, Sahil, if you can. Yeah. So continuous education is vital to empower individuals, economy, and societies. Since hundreds of years, the world prioritizes education and countries develop themselves by improving overall education levels. During our panel today, we will debate how we are all responsible to educate ourselves and others to contribute to a better society, and what are the different ways you believe you can use to develop yourself. So we believe that there are 3 important pillars that you can see in the slide. One is a formal, let's say, pillar that is around higher education, accredited and recognized degrees, and more systematic and structured. The other one is more informal and very important because it's dynamic, very specific, and is in accordance with a certain area, a certain job requirement project. Both informal and formal need to be put in practice. So we believe there is a 3rd pillar that is learning by doing. And this learning by doing can be related with, for instance, employee engagement, how the employee is going to apply the skills he learns in the job. When we bring together these 3 pillars, we believe that human beings will have the competencies and tools to find what we call life fulfillment, meaning, our purpose, and ultimately achieve the outcome of education, which is inclusion. And inclusion, why? Because education is very important even to survival. Without it, we can die. It's important for fighting inequalities and to contribute to better individuals in terms of personal excellence, our own personal excellence, and our community. So our values, our skills, and our principles. So tonight is my great pleasure to welcome our 3 panelists. So Elizabeth, Kiran, and Esther, who will debate about the power of education to change the world. So we'll start first by Elizabeth Leyer. Elisabeth has more than 25 years of experience as an auditor in Luxembourg. She focuses on the financial sector. In addition to serving clients as an audit partner, Elisabeth plays an active role in talent management, both locally and within Deloitte network, as she is the audit talent leader for Deloitte Central Europe. So Elisabeth, to which extent is education and lifelong learning still the most powerful weapon to use to change the world? Please, Elisabeth.
Yes. Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Cristina. So yes, it's an easy question, but it's quite an important one as well. And the answer is clearly yes. Education has always been and will always be a weapon to change the world. That's a must, if I may say so, but let us not forget that education is not accessible to all of us. There are many human beings who are not in a capacity to benefit from a proper education. And you may have read last week the newspapers, and the Labour International Organization released a report which is quite annoying, in its conclusions, because here you could learn that more than 160 million children in the world were forced to work in 2020. And this organization also contemplates that 9 million in addition may join the workforce in 2021. So you see, education for us as European citizens or educated citizens in the world is granted, but we forget sometimes that this is a gift. So I think it is our duty, and this is something we have to keep in mind. It is our duty to facilitate and to foster education and lifelong learning over our own careers. And I may give the example of Deloitte. I'm a Deloitte Audit Partner, so it's an easy example. And I will use an example linked to India, because I would like to thank the IBCL to welcome this conference today. So we have within Deloitte a program, part of our CSR policy. This program is called World Class, and one of its objectives is to foster education, even at primary level, so small kids education. And in India, to take India as an example, we are working closely with 2 local organizations. The starting point is the fact that in India, we have collectively 1,071 million, so it's a high number of women and girls which are illiterate. So that's a matter of fact. And to act upon this, we are working with 2 local organizations, as I told you. The first one is called Pratham. And here the idea is to work with students and with their parents to enhance their learning experience, but back to basics, about reading, about arithmetic, and really going into the maximizing of the learning effort and experience. The other organization we are fully supporting is called Kata. And here the angle is a little bit different. It's about working with the teachers so that they learn new learning techniques. For instance, they will work about storytelling, how vocational learning can help students to learn. So those are only examples, but it's good to be reminded that we all have to do our part, and we all have to make an impact, when it comes to societal impact. In your question, Cristina, there was also an element of time, because you asked me previously whether I still think that education is still, a weapon. And maybe it's an opportunity for me here to talk about the major disrupting events that were that took place recently and that we are still facing. So first, you may think about the fourth industrial revolution, that's when it comes to the workforce and to education, that is quite disruptive. And the second event, of course, you all know, is the outbreak of the pandemic last year. And those two events are quite different in nature. So one was anticipated, planned, and expected, if I may say so, while the other was quite a surprise. But both of them, they are having the same kind of consequences, meaning enhanced use of technology first, and enhanced digitization. And those two elements will have major impact on the workforce in the years to come. And that is also where education, lifetime training will play a very instrumental role in upskilling and reskilling the resources. So it's easy to think about immediate consequences. We know that many jobs will be destroyed or already have been destroyed. We know that some of us will struggle to upskills, their skills, and we will have to invest in further education to make that happen, because otherwise millions of people will be left behind, and their skills will not be meeting the future job demands. So education here, even for adults, will be instrumental. What I can also tell you is that when we are inquiring among our people, in the service firms or large accounting firms in the US, we just got a report last week. It was obvious that some of us, blue-collar employees, they are massively thinking about leaving their current position. That's also a new trend, and this will also have to be taken into account. And the more comfortable way of changing career path is to be equipped and to get equipped by adequate and appropriate skills, meaning also new education. So let's see what's coming, but for sure it will be interesting. And instead of seeing it black, I would say, let's try to find it as an opportunity and to remain, optimistic about this future. And again, learning, lifetime training will be very, very important in the future. If I may say, even more important than ever, in my view. I will now let the floor to Kiran. And Kiran, it's a very interesting story he will tell. Cristina will introduce him. But here it's an example of a success story, someone able to turn into an opportunity a difficult situation. So.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Before we go to Kiran, just one question because you mentioned 3 levels of education. So one very critical in terms of your strong help to India and how it's a matter of survival. People basically will die if they don't have education. So, and that's very interesting when you explain the different dynamics with the teachers and the parents, and we are talking about reading. And then you go to the developed countries where you mentioned this disruption with the technologies and career path changes. Just one last question. What is the motivation of these people to change the careers? Is it a meaning, purpose? Is it a need? What is happening there?
Well, I don't want to make general statement, but I think that often some of us realized that they were lacking purpose in their current work environment, and the sense of belonging also was lost, working from home. So those elements for sure had severe consequences on mental health. That is also a hot topic, a pressing issue, but also on the future and how we see what will be next for each of us. It's really personal decision. It's really driven by different factors, but I think, yes, that often the purpose, the sense of purpose is a little bit missing.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So indeed, we now going to introduce Kiran. So Kiran is a business strategy professional with over 10 plus years experience in working with MNC and startups. Currently, Kiran works in a leading financial services company in Luxembourg called Domus. Kiran is also passionate about disruptive ideas and innovation and always has been involved in the startup space. During the lockdown days, he also created a successful award-winning sustainable project, which went on to get government recognitions in Luxembourg. Kiran has also an MBA from the SHULU Luxembourg. So Kiran, we are all very curious to know your story. Have you ever considered education as a weapon to change the world? To which extent did it change yours? Please.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. And Cristina, thanks for that lovely introduction. And I would also, it's like my honor to be here in this panel with some amazing, individuals here. Elizabeth, Esther, Cristina, yourself, and many from SHU Luxembourg and IBCL. Thank you for this opportunity once again. So coming back to your question, yeah, education is definitely a very powerful weapon for change in this world. And I would answer this by a short example. So 2020, as we all know, has been really crazy for all of us, right? Many have lost their loved ones, lost jobs, and businesses were impacted, shut down, countries plunged into recession. But it's also amazing to see how people and businesses, even countries, have adapted to this ongoing crisis and are bouncing back slowly. So this is during this time, mid 2020, I was also impacted by the COVID wave. What I mean by that is I lost my job. So this is when you realize that a degree on paper alone will not be able to handle such crisis, because many individuals with great experiences have been impacted. So this is when you realize how you can apply these various concepts that you've learned in universities and your past experience to good practical use. So yes, I lost my job, but that was also a light bulb moment for me. This is when I worked on my concept, and to give you a brief, the first 1 month was all about, market research about this, service. And then followed by, I put together a service, then understood if the product is actually fit to the market, the product market fit, and followed by digitalizing the whole concept so that we can, I was thinking about scaling the, idea and things like that. So over these months, what I've also learned is and many of you will agree here, is that you're not just, as an entrepreneur or as a person with a, business concept, you have to, dive into each and every field, like let it be marketing, let it be finance, let it be, customer relationship and everything. So finally, after all this, I was able to launch this product, service a few months after the inception. And then it was mostly about understanding how the user experience is, how the client relationship is, etc. So in the process, I was learning different platforms, even trying to learn how to develop a web application, etc. So this was an ongoing process. And yeah, so finally, I'm here right now. Now I work with Domus. It's a great company. And also I manage this on this, it's a concept as of now. So now many of you will be wondering, what is this concept that I'm talking about? So, well, I'm not going to get into more details about it because the session is all about education. So to give you an idea, I call this a Uber for waterless car washes. So we deliver waterless car washes. Today, standing in front of you or being in front of you on your laptop, I'm so proud to say that till date, we have saved 40,000 liters of water. We have saved 9,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide emissions. We have saved 1,000 kilowatt electricity for Luxembourg. And I'm so proud to, be a part of this sustainable, venture. So, and also in a very short time, we were recognized by the government of Luxembourg, the Ministry of Economy. We were one of the finalists of the Lux Innovations Creative by Design Challenge. And we also came second at Deloitte's Mind and Mark Sustainable Startup event. So, so we'll be happy to give you more information on this. But coming back to the point, well, education has not just equipped me with the skills to pivot from no job to being an entrepreneur, but also given me the much needed network to be successful. In fact, I went back to my college alumni for the market research, and they were truly supportive of the idea. They tried the concept and gave me relevant feedbacks at the right time. So all this thanks to the skills that my team and myself have developed through various learning and also keeping an open mind. I'm not saying that I'm an established startup or a business yet, but I'm proudly, I can proudly say that I was able to navigate during those tough times and bring that to my advantage. So education, let you think from, various dimensions, right? So as Elizabeth, rightly mentioned some time back about lifelong learning, this is so important. I really understood this because my business concept was in a domain which had zero experience in. So education not just let you learn new domains or deep dive into new technologies which you are interested in, but also kind of help you think about humanity and the planet Earth, etc. So going back to another interesting point, what Elizabeth mentioned is sense of belonging or being part of the community. This is really a relevant topic, especially in particular with me, because I was new to Luxembourg and I'm a non-European coming here to Luxembourg and trying to test a concept. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. My experience being in a Sacred Heart has helped me establish my credibility here and a strong network to support. This has helped me integrate as a part of this amazing country, Luxembourg. So I'll conclude my point saying education is not just a weapon, but it helps you think from various perspectives and also help you to be innovative and create opportunities in the hour of need. Education also helps you to integrate and care for fellow humans and Mother Planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran. Really very inspiring, your story. I have just before we go to Esther, and connecting a little bit with what Elizabeth just told, which is very important in terms, and you mentioned about it, this sense of belonging and this career change, this search for creation of new opportunities. Have you found, what was your motivation with this and how did you keep your mental health, let's say during the job? Yeah, did you find the purpose? What happened?
Oh, well, coming back to the second part of finding a purpose, but finding a purpose is a journey. But over the past few months, what I've really, understood is I've gathered some great confidence, courage, and also empathy is something which also developed over a period of time. So I would say, as you rightly said, I'm finding a better me, but I wouldn't say that's the best me. It's a constantly evolving thing. But how do I, over the last year, 2020, it was very hard for most of us, all of us. But, working on that project was actually something which kept me going because end of the day, if you get an opportunity to apply what you've learned, that's a great thing. And if you see results, it's even better. So yeah.
Okay, and one other thing. So you mentioned that you did this big jump. So you came from India and you found other job opportunities. So how did you do this? Did you have was with the SHULU? Was it with a network? How, for your colleagues in the IBCL, what is your recommendation? Yeah.
Well, yes, I came from India in 2017, and it was in search of education, coming back to the point again, because from India, I wanted to get a global perspective, better understanding of a European or an international perspective. That's the reason I came for an MBA. And I'm really happy I chose Sacred Heart and also Luxembourg for that matter. because it's a tiny country, but it's a great sample of, we have 170 plus countries represented in Luxembourg. It's a great sample you get to work with. It's amazing. But yeah, in the start, when I started with the program, that's when SHU helped me with, the right leads. And I would say Esther being one of the mentors too, because I could crack into many a couple of job internships to start with, and usually it goes like internships converts into a job if you're if there is a opportunity there. But in my case, after internship, to mention about the alumni, my first job was accompanied by an alumni of SHU. That would be a great example too. But then now I'm at Domus. I'm a sales officer there, and it's a great company. And working, I'm working on the fund side. So yeah.
Really nice, Kiran. I hope you have all the success and you keep on staying in Luxembourg. Okay, so we go now for Esther. So Esther Celosse is the Director of Student Experiences, full-time Professor of Management and Executive Coach at Sacred Heart University, Luxembourg. Her areas of expertise include development and management of coaching and mentorship programs for students and alumni, leadership competencies development, change in the innovation management, and she's the program manager of the Executive MBA program. Esther, your question, we want to know, we refer to very different types of learnings and education programs. So what would be, at what level of higher education programs that are today in demand in the job market, please?
Okay, thank you, Christine, first of all, for the introduction, and happy to be in this panel. See also that some of the participants online I know, so that's also lovely to see. Hi, everyone. And it's a very interesting question, and I first want to start with thanking Elizabeth, because you positioned, and this is also important that people recognize this, you positioned education also as a force for doing good, which is nowadays an important thing to just realize and capture. And I want to congratulate Kiran with his ventures, his courage, and his dedication to deliver new opportunities also to the market in Luxembourg, because basically setting up a startup also it creates opportunities for others again. So thank you also for that, and also for highlighting that education indeed is vital to have a power to manage challenging situations, to drive creativity and innovation. So in my opinion, right, and indirectly confirmed by Elizabeth and by Kiran, education you can see as an enabler, okay? Education is not a goal in itself, but it should be supporting you on your journey to achieve your goals. That means that education should help to bridge what you don't know yet, but you need to know. So let's look at what education as a true and valuable enabler should look like, okay? So to be really valuable, the education provider should not only deliver theory and knowledge, but should also offer all the opportunities to internalize all the information through practice and through gaining experience. But on top, and this is where the true magic lies, the educator should support the learner through true caring. So understanding all the needs of a learner and knowing the current state of knowledge and experience and the goals, that will make it possible to support the process of learning through coaching and mentoring. We have mentioned it before, it is extremely important. Now, I cannot see the whole audience, and there are a couple of names I haven't seen before, but I presume that most of you know how to ride a bike. Myself, I'm Dutch, so I learned to ride a bike as soon as I could walk. So now you may understand that it does not work by reading a book on how to ride a bike. Some of you may have experienced that and tried it. Very hard. But it works through having someone who shows you mentoring basically. Who motivates you? That's coaching. Who explains the principles? Teaching. And who runs, I mean, really, literally, physically runs next to you while you try to pedal, steer, brake, everything falling off it, climbing on it again. That's stroke carrying. So they also will help you to navigate when you start to get the hang of it, to navigate all the challenges of traffic, because that's gaining experience, through guiding you through that as well, and teaching you and explaining you what to look for and what to, not do maybe. So that's what we do at Sacred Heart University as well in Luxembourg. We get to know our students personally, one-on-one. We get to know their goals, their needs, and we really want to support them through offering not just knowledge that is currently required via all the classes and courses, but also to practice that information, knowledge, and know-how via, for instance, Kiran mentioned it already, internships. We also help to get them. We motivate them to apply everything they learn during the classes in the evening, by the way, in their day jobs. But most importantly, we want to support them all the time, from the beginning till the end, so till after graduation, through coaching and mentoring sessions. So we discuss with them who they are and who they want to be, and we help them in this process of growth and development, both at professional and at personal level. Now, I am an executive coach and I am a professor of management, and I can vouch that this is really indeed the most important role that I have in the university for me. Now, coming back to education in general, okay? Now, whether we're talking about a one-off training session, a full course, higher education, such as an MBA program, the people who drive the education, they need to be in constant connection with reality. So with the employers, with the employees, with the business environment, the economic reality, the trends in the market, et cetera, to learn and understand the skills that and the knowledge that is needed for this reality. So also at SHULU, we work hard to constantly be connected to the local and the global reality. So our faculty, for instance, are what we would call practitioners, right? They are part of the reality that they teach. They work full-time, have senior positions, are business owners, or have startups, etc. They're using the most recent developments in their business reality as business cases in their material. They are also there to support students when, as a final course, these students go out in teams as true consultants, assisting real Luxembourg businesses, startups, NGOs, etc., to address some of the challenges these organizations face. So, okay, so a good education program challenges students on all the skills that we see that are in high demand in the current market. But on the other hand, we also have to ask feedback on the perception of the students, on the quality and the adaptability of what they learn in the program, and even allow them to be part of the development of the curriculum, because then you can stay on top of what is really needed for them. If we talk about, for instance, current reality, and Elizabeth mentioned it already, sustainability is a huge topic today. So, for instance, we are currently adapting our whole program to include in every part of the curriculum the impact of the triple bottom line. We're talking about people, planet, prosperity. So we also want to make sure that in everything that we teach, education is part of the force for doing good.
Yeah.
By the way, on that note, sorry, Cristina, I'm not finished yet. It's a hugely interesting and I'm passionate about this topic. So what I also wanted to mention is that if you receive good education, you get inspired and you also want to give back. So what we see, for instance, and we have a couple of them here online, and they can vouch for that SHULU Luxembourg alumni show that by having received guidance, support, coaching, mentoring, that they also in their career, in their time, they're also giving these same things back. They're also coaching and mentoring other people, which is a beautiful thing. It's like a circle that we build. Now, coming back to your question and then finalizing everything. So what kind of higher education is in demand in the job market? Well, the kind that offers a bridge between theory and practice, a bridge between job seekers and a job offering, the bridge between not knowing how to manage change to knowing how to manage change, but mainly and above all, that offers a bridge between who you are and who you want to be. Now I'm finished.
Yeah, really great inputs. I think, Esther, you are very connected with, I think Elizabeth mentioned in terms of the need of upskilling and reskilling, which is so important today with the destruction of jobs. And you mentioned how you match the needs with the current job market. We are now out of time, so I would do a question, but I think it's better that our audience. So we are now going to open to questions in terms of the audience. So have we received any question? Does anybody want to submit a question, please, in the chat? So we have around 15 minutes for questions. Okay, so we have a first question for Elizabeth, please. I'm going to read it. As a big organization, Deloitte, how do you support full-time professionals who have or want to learn or to upskill? Considering their limited amount of time, sometimes not much money to spend on lifelong learning, lack of spaces where to study after work, and lack of a real community around lifelong learning in Luxembourg. Please, Elizabeth, would you comment on this?
Yes, it's a good question, and it's a question we are raising internally almost every year. So first, as a big organization, as you said, Francesca, we invest a lot on education internally. So we have in-house trainings ongoing. That's not enough for sure. And we encourage, we're always happy to have employees taking the next step when it comes to education. It's a challenge because we are working very hard at Deloitte, and we are not the only one. So it's a challenge. Normally we look on a case-by-case basis, and we try to adapt. I'm an audit partner, so I have my qualification as réviseur d'entreprise. And if I take my example, I had 2 months to study at home, study leave, to get prepared for my exam. So it's on a case-by-case basis. But we want a business case. So if myself, I ask to get cooking lessons, then, Deloitte will not necessarily support. Very honestly put, it needs to be driven by business objectives.
Okay, and maybe perhaps, Kiran, you want to comment, of this point without so much time. How did you get your help for your startup, during the time you were without a job? How did you get some lifelong learning, maybe without spending money or complementing with the MBA?
To answer that, first of all, it was like, so I followed a lot of, I had past ventures when I was in India, and it was run like very, not even in an organized way. So what MBA did was like really, I followed a process, like starting from, say, market research and understanding the product market fit, etc. So that was all there, what I had learned. But at the same time, there's so many online resources available also, like, the Coursera's and the edX's, where you can also, take a course on, say, example, Salesforce, or to understand a CRM, stuff like that. So and also web application, to create a basic web application, etc. So those few months was just figuring out what are the technology or what are the things I need, and put together a small curriculum for myself to go through all these things and learn these. So, but yeah, of course, MBA was a great foundation to build on that. It was, already, I would say, already had a lot of skills from which I could use. But being in a new market, which is Luxembourg, I had to rely on a lot of network to get a lot of answers and, to get these kind of things. So
basically you need a foundation that gives you some credibility, and then, as Elizabeth said, case by cases basis, and together with your network you may I think here, is there any other question here? Okay, we have another one from Rainer, because if not I would do another one around this. So a question for Esther. I have taken admission in SHULU Luxembourg. I'm excited to join this program. I'm glad I took the decision to move to Luxembourg, where I can find opportunities. Esther, could you please tell me, as a facilitator, what could be hardships in the industry that I could encounter when I move to such new country and market during my internship?
Hi, Rainer. First of all, welcome to the program. Congratulations. Exciting to know that you will start, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Undeniably, there will be challenges. I cannot make it nicer or more pink than it is. There is, of course, it's going to be more exciting stuff happening than challenges, hopefully. I don't know your background, so I cannot definitely say what kind of hardship, between brackets, you will face in the industry. In general, if we're looking at the job market of Luxembourg, it's very good. It's rather stable. I'm not saying we don't have jobless people. I'm not saying that people will be made redundant, like Kiran. He had this happening to him. There are different reasons why this may happen. But in general, I mean, if you look at Luxembourg as over time in history, Luxembourg is a country where it's all about opportunities. So it has basically reinvented itself a couple of times over a time, losing an industry and then finding a new industry. They were known for the steel industry. They had mines, or they still have mines, but of course they're not delivering as much anymore. So at one point, they knew that the mining industry would start to suffer. And they started to think, okay, what else could we do that apparently has a need in the European market, and where we could jump in? And they recognized the banking industry as being a beautiful opportunity. And they are being, they're very small. There are short lines. Decision-making is fast. It's very agile on its feet. And they just reinvented themselves in the financial market. And they did this with, Miss Bravo. They were very courageous in this one. Now, in 2008, it started to go sideways. The financial industry started to suffer. So what did Luxembourg do? It didn't wait for things to go south. No, they started to look around again. And they saw that actually the whole pharmacy industry and the IT industry, the software, was definitely a blooming and booming bubble. So what could they do there? Now today, they are on paper. I mean, it does not really always show if you walk in the streets, but on paper, we are really one of the biggest IT and software development countries in Europe. So now we are really an innovation hub. We were doing everything called tech. We have fintech, health tech, ed tech, you name it. We have it, and we have the specialists, and we draw in the specialists here. You're probably a specialist too. So if your specialty, your expertise is not even here yet, don't despair. You can start an innovation, right? If it's already there, then you can add to innovation. So yes, it will not be easy, because sometimes you have to, accept that you have to fight, that you have to show courage, that you have to develop and have to kind of like be a first mover, which is not always easy.
Maybe Esther, if I can I bring it to Elizabeth, because I think one of the important things also complementing Esther is the number of languages and the number of nationalities in Luxembourg. I myself, I moved from, so I'm half Portuguese, half Switzerland, and here we speak 5 languages. But Elizabeth, maybe because working at Deloitte, there are, I don't know, maybe 100 nationalities. How do you handle that? So that's why, coming from India, how do you handle all these different nationalities and languages? What is the support there?
Yes, well, it's a good question. If I take again the example of Audit, we are on average 700 people, and we are having more than 50 nationalities within those 700 people. So it gives you an idea of how diverse we are. So everybody speaks English, that's a given. And then when it comes to handling multicultural teams, we have to discuss. It's not always easy, but it's through communication and open mind that we manage. So it's also what people enjoy, and that's also a selling point for Luxembourg, as you mentioned. It's great to have colleagues from all over the place because you learn a lot.
Yeah.
It's very challenging, but it's great first.
Yeah, so basically, because what Esther said in terms very innovative country, very agile and very international. Okay, we have another question. Why sustainability becomes so important in post-COVID-19, and what is the link with the education? So maybe Kiran, a short answer, because we still have only more 5 minutes and there is one more question. So why to link this sustainability? Well, why do you think this is important? And also, I think Esther, you mentioned also about this in terms of the CSR. Actually, the 3 of you mentioned about corporate social responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might not be the expert at this, but my take is sustainability is never new. I mean, it's high time that we think about moving towards a sustainable environment in terms of saving the planet, saving water, or carbon dioxide emissions and things like that. So Europe is a front runner when it comes to sustainability, and so it's always been there, but it's great that companies have already taken steps towards ESG. And I'm glad that the curriculum is orienting towards that, so that there is a huge gap. Otherwise, even companies doesn't know how to, they're also clueless as to how to integrate ESG. They are also, but this coming from a university and coming with people, certifying people with ESG and other things will definitely be a good step forward.
Yes.
So that's
maybe Esther, you can give an example of our CSR in the curriculum of SHU. I personally did a very interesting module. What you were mentioning in the end of your participation.
Well, one of the things, for instance, that we are doing now is that we are creating a program which is really about circular economy. So we are doing a project on developing a business plan, looking at, for instance, the construction industry here in Luxembourg, but then from the circular economy point of view. I mean, if you think about green buildings and zero energy buildings, and having these green roofs where you have gardens on top of them, and then solar panels and all of that stuff. So it is going to be, it is already a reality, but do we understand the principles enough to start implementing them in their own personal life or in the business environment we're all working in?
Okay, Esther, thank you. So we go for our last question, and then we need to conclude. Any question that you want to raise afterwards, you can always contact us through the SHU site or IBCL, or even through the social networking with any of us. So please feel free afterwards to follow up. So the last question is about the dynamic and competition of the market, how you keep yourself updated. So what we talk about upskilling, the curriculum agility, a lot of us get opportunities relevant only to our past experiences, which narrows the pool, how to build a diverse profile in a limited time. So maybe, okay, it says Esther and Kiran, but you both talk, so perhaps Elizabeth, you mentioned your upskilling and reskilling. Maybe with, you know, the learning programs in Deloitte, you can give an example to finalize, please. We have 2 minutes.
Yes, it's a personal question here because Deloitte feeds me a lot with what I need to know when it gets technical or how to manage my team. So I'm updated through the normal learning path, but it's a personal questioning, you know, am I doing enough on my personal time to stay up to speed? And that I don't have the answer. So it's about attending conferences, reading books, reading newspapers, but is it enough? I don't know. It's a question, especially now my older daughter, she starts university, and it gives me envy to start again my studies. So it's a personal note to end. Yeah, it's a challenge, especially for the people already working to keep up to speed, yes. Definitely.
Maybe Esther, you have any comment to close the session?
Well, it has been mentioned a couple of times before also by Elizabeth and Kiran. It's also very much in networking. So being out there, talking to people, listening to what they say, recognizing the messages that they are giving to you, also about new trends, about reality, about learning, about ideas. I mean, it's all, and that's actually quite, Luxembourg is one of the best places I know as for networking. I mean, if you look at well, before COVID, and it will come back, the calendar that is out there for connecting to people, amazing. Just go online, find all the different event organizers, and you will be just amazed at how you can meet and find new information and new people.
Yeah, thank you very much all. So we will now, again, if you need to submit more questions, we can always answer afterwards. So we are now going to just close the session. If you can put the last slide, please, Sahil. So we have a kind of what we call in sales a call to action for all of you. We believe that it is important that you drive, and this is a little bit what Elizabeth just mentioned, and also Esther with the networking, that you drive your own development. So the need for continuous lifelong learning is really growing exponentially. And by acting to continuously learn, we believe you have the tools to actually change the world. So changing yourself to change the world. We really believe in you, and each one of us has their own value. We have our own uniqueness, and we can actually design our career. And we need to, because emerging technologies are there. Like Elizabeth mentioned, there is a lot of destruction of jobs, but also creation of new jobs that you need to be equipped. You need to different career paths that you can change. And I did personally an MBA after 40, and I think it's very interesting. It's very important to do it in the beginning, but you can also do it later on. And also it is important in terms of workforce development, because the companies that do not invest in having the skills of tomorrow will die. So there is a responsibility of you, but also of the employer. It's on their interest. Another thing, it's important that what Esther was mentioning is you need to ask for help from others. So you need to go out there to network with universities, from passionate teachers like Esther, from employers and employees, like what was described by Elizabeth. And it is important you are your own leader, so that you really own your future and your strategy, and that you are ready, because opportunities come and you must be prepared to seize them. And this is what education gives you. So our final message is that we suggest that you continuously assess your skills. Where are the gaps, where you need to have this adaptive learning to keep on progressing, because it's a never-ending journey. It's like doing diet or going to the gym. You always need to do it. It's or eating or sleeping. It's nothing. It doesn't end education. And what is important is that at the end of the day, you have this, like Kiran was explaining, this passion, this fire, that you really are able to find some purpose and more meaning that enables you to have more fun, because our lives are really short, and we saw that during COVID. So finally, IBCL and SHULU, we would like to thank you very much. I know it's late, it's almost 6 p.m. So your participation today, we would like to be maybe physical, but we did our best. And I would also like very much to thank you, the great panelists, Elizabeth, Kiran, and Esther, and also our organizers, Praktisha, Sahil, and Erika. We will have we'll have a next event, just for your information. So the use of artificial intelligence by 2025, that will be held in the 3rd week of July. You can go to, both sites, so IBCL, and please, again, feel free to connect us through the social networking. And we wish you a great evening. And thank you very much once again for your time. And any feedback, please provide again through the site, because we also want to improve this for the future. Thank you.